العريشي دايركتور اوف تكنولوجي استراتيجي في MENA كونسلتنج، وهبقى الهوست النهارده في الفinTech روم 218. هنتكلم طبعا على الفinTech والفاينانشال سيرفيسز سيكتور. We've curated a set of talks that don't just explore what's trending but what's transformative. So today is all about momentum, not just ideas, but the systems, the tools, and the people redefining how money moves in our ecosystem. We'll kick off with cutting-edge cloud infrastructure, as we can see in the upcoming session. بعدها move into AI metaverse frontier, وبعدها dive into real-world banking transformation, and hear from change makers leading decentralized financial movements. وafter lunch, inshallah, we shift gears into panel debates, AI-driven strategies, and end with data, security, and analytics. Without further ado, without المقدمات دي كلها, let's welcome Michael Moufeed into our session, the first session today. Michael will discuss Huawei Cloud's presence as Egypt's first local hyperscaler, its low latency architecture, broad service portfolio, and he'll explore how Huawei Cloud is enabling end-to-end cloud-native fintech solutions and share global success stories, compliance, and use cases. Please welcome Michael Moufeed.
Okay. Thank you. I'm Michael Moufeed, Cloud Solution Specialist in Huawei Cloud Egypt office. Okay, so let's go in a quick brief for cloud-powered fintech and the future of the financial industry here in Egypt. Okay, so firstly, let's start with why Huawei Cloud and why Huawei Cloud choose Egypt to just build its first own hyperscaler node here in MENA region. So firstly, this is like a brief about the footprint for Huawei globally and for the North Africa region. We can see that Huawei Cloud is serving almost 33 regions with 93 availability zone, with more than 28,000 content delivery network for the data latency and caching the services and the data for a best experience for the customer within different sectors. And we are serving more than 170 countries. If we can see on the right side, the latency of the services that can be requested from the availability zone of Huawei Cloud here in Egypt. Again, Huawei Cloud in Egypt is the only and the first hyperscaler to have an availability zone in Egypt. If we can see that the latency for Huawei Cloud services in Egypt reaches almost 26 milliseconds, and it could be less, dependent over the type and the media of the connectivity. If we can see how this availability zone would serve the North Africa region, we can see that the latency to Sudan is almost 33 milliseconds, Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, the maximum latency would reach 50 milliseconds. And Huawei reach this service level via the infrastructure and the point of presence global the world and to serve the best value to our customers on the technical level and the business level. Here is a little comparison between the service latency between Azure, AWS, and Huawei across Egypt, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia in a brief for the North Africa. And we can see that Huawei is contributing with the less latency over this North Africa area region. Secondly, Huawei has invested almost $20 billion over the past 3 years, and this amount of money is contributing almost quarter of the total revenue for Huawei Cloud. And this is a big value that make Huawei on the top 5 entities for the European scoreboard for the R&D, especially with Microsoft, with Google, with Meta, with Apple, and fifthly come Huawei for the R&D investment. Huawei have more than 140,000 patents in different technology sectors and in different products, and have the accreditations for more than 200 licenses. The investment of the R&D make Huawei have a leading cloud-native technology like Kubernetes, security as a service, and compute as a service over the cloud platform, investing in the big data and the data intelligence, the AI for different sectors and for different industry, and latest is the digital content creation, which is a big part about the internet industry in China, like TikTok, which is totally developed and hosted over Huawei Cloud. Thirdly, here in availability zone of Huawei Cloud in Egypt, it's launched almost 75 or 74 services covering most of the basic needs for the market for the cloud hosting, covering the compute, the network, the security, the big data platform, AI platform, and some add-ons related for the operation and the management of the cloud platform itself, for the application management and monitoring, and the other add-on services like the migration of the data and the migration of the compute workload from different environments. Either it's a private cloud or a public cloud. Huawei has its own cloud native services for the transfer of the data. So no hassle to have a vendor lock-in or something that could make a limitation for any environment to have like a hyper cloud or multi-cloud or migrating from one cloud provider to Huawei Cloud. Thirdly, it's related about the accreditations and certificates that is granted for Huawei Cloud. Huawei Cloud, for its availability zones worldwide, it have more than 130 accreditation. But what's important for the fintech industry is this part that is related. For in Egypt, we have the accreditation from NTRA, from FRA, the PCI compliance. Also, we have accreditation from SAP to host any SAP workload. So this is the basic needs that is related for the regulations and what is needed to have like a financial environment or a financial industry hosted over a cloud platform or a cloud resources. Okay, so this make a smooth push and a smooth way for the fintech and the financial sector to host their environment and leverage the best use of the hyperscaler services over Huawei Cloud. Also, for the continuous innovation and the technological evolution for Huawei Cloud Services, it's named in the Magic Quadrant, Gartner Magic Quadrant, in 8 domains. For the leaders quadrant, Huawei is named for 10 basic domain solution and 10 products, and 1 plus 21 market segment all over the world. About the collaboration, especially here in Egypt, there is a collaboration with different entities from the governmental side, from the Ministry of Communication, Ministry of Finance, for Ministry of Education, building the smart cities and different industrial sector. And we can see here a different logos from different sectors here in Egypt, building different technology and different services, starting from the wireless network, the networking of the campus, on-premise data center, and the cloud investment here in Egypt. If we can see the partner ecosystem and the partnerships, we have 2 different types and 2 different terminologies for the ecosystem and the partners here in Egypt with Huawei Cloud. We have technology partner and the expertise partner. The technology partner is just the partners that helping the customers and the entities to adopt the Huawei Cloud technology. There is expertise partner, which is completing the end-to-end solution, like the software or the applications that needs to be hosted over the Huawei Cloud, just to deliver a business need or solve a business problem within any sector or any industry over Huawei Cloud. So by the end, the full end-to-end solution is totally provided by Huawei and its ecosystem partners, just to share the same success and provide one value to our customers. Nextly, it's related about the type of technologies and type of VMs or compute units that Huawei is providing over Huawei Cloud. Dependent on the technical need and the business purpose of each enterprise, we can select from different categories of compute units or compute VMs dependent on the type of application. Is it a small application? Is it a database workload? It's a high compute and big data queries is done over this VM. It needs some GPUs for some digital design or other stuff related for the AI models or the LLM infrastructure. So each business need will rely on a different compute service category. Fourthly, it's related to the security, and the security here we have 3 parts, and mainly the enterprises in Egypt and everywhere are concerned with the security from 3 different perspectives. The first perspective is the connectivity and service stability over Huawei Cloud or any cloud else. Secondly is the operation and the management of the environment in a safe way with the needed access controls for my environment and for my information over the cloud. And thirdly is related to the data confidentiality and the disclosure of the data to be exposed externally and internally, who can access my data and get the leverage to get the data out of this environment. So these are the main 3 pillars. By doing this over Huawei Cloud, we have the full ecosystem or the full process to consult, develop, test, and improve the environment of any enterprise over Huawei Cloud from the security perspective. Secondly, it's related to the security services itself and the security portfolio that we will go in the next page. And thirdly, the operation of the security services and the secure environment over Huawei Cloud through the SOC services and other security services over the Huawei Cloud. Plus the accreditations that has been done over Huawei Cloud availability zone, like SOC certificates, ISO certificates, PCI certificates, just to fulfill all the customer needs and every industry to be in a regulation with the needed entities. So let's go down for a more deep view for the security services, which is the SecMaster. The SecMaster is the controlling or the orchestration service for Huawei Cloud services, starting from the physical unit to the application layer. So in Huawei Cloud, we are saying the security is divided into 7 layers, starting from the physical security for the servers, the data center firewall, and the WAF, which is applied over the low level or the infrastructure level, passing by the identity accesses, network security, which is the cloud firewall, application security for the WAF, the security for the server, which is the agent is deployed either over the VM or over the container to secure the end compute unit, security of the data, either it's over storage or a database, and finally securing the operation and management of the environment itself through the cloud partition host and other security services over Huawei Cloud. All of this is totally visualized and controlled from one platform, which is called the SecMaster, or in another terminology, it is the advanced SIEM solution that is Huawei is providing to fulfill its security services over Huawei Cloud. If we can see here, the benefit of the security services over Huawei Cloud and the technological development that has been done, that 70% of the threat can be handled in just 1 minute. 99 of the threats can be handled within 5 minutes. That's why Huawei is investing a lot and a lot and a lot in the R&D for the security services, okay, and collecting intelligence sources across the globe, from the Far East to the Far West, just to cover all the threats, all the malware, all the attack trials that has been done for all over the world, okay? Providing better and better security services that is aided by the AI analytics. Here we go for the availability zones that we have in Cairo region. It was launched since last May 2024. It's Tier 3 data center infrastructure, totally hosted in Exceed building in a smart village, and the facility management is provided by Telecom Egypt. It's provided by 24/7 on-site operation and maintenance expert and served by more than 2,000 experts and 4,000 global service engineers. The last part about the cloud definitions and the cloud capabilities of Huawei Cloud before going to the fintech part, that Huawei has its own solutions for the on-premise data center deployment. Either it's total air-gapped without any connection over the internet, or just to have a hybrid model of the connection between the on-premise data center solution and the public cloud. So if the entities needs to host the environment over the public cloud, is totally doable by the cloud service portfolios that have more than 240 services. Or if the entity needs more confidentiality for its data and on-premise deployment, it can have the HCS, Huawei Cloud Stack. It's the same technology stack of the public cloud of Huawei that can either be connected over the internet to make a hybrid environment with the public cloud of Huawei or any other hyperscaler away from Huawei, or it can be totally managed and controllable through an air-gapped connections with zero connection over the internet to do the same way of services as a on-premise private cloud. So either by doing this or doing that, we will have the same technology stack with the same services, with the same GUI, with the same service naming. So it's adding an extra edge and the extra service level to the customers over their on-premise data center. Over Huawei Public Cloud, we have 24/7 support services, supported by 300 local experts here in Egypt and more than 1,000 consulting experts from the globe, from different regions of Huawei Cloud, from Asia, from Latin America, from Europe, from Africa, is serving the needs and the tickets of the customers that could be opened over Huawei Public Cloud. The professional services is starting from the consulting and the planning for the migration and the implementation, delivering the environment, making the operation and management of the environment, making month-to-month optimization for the architecture, either it's on the technical level or the security level, making more improvement in the cost reductions for the monthly bills and the yearly bills upon the expansion of the entities. Also, we have different supports plan dependent on the needs of each entity. And finally, the training and certification that is granted for all the Huawei customers and Huawei partners that need to leverage more and more advantage of Huawei Cloud technologies. Secondly, let's go more and see how Huawei Cloud could make a benefit for the fintech or the financial sector globally and especially here in Egypt. If we can see from this brief analysis, on the left part, we can see how the cash payment is being reduced starting from 2010 to 2020. We can see almost the cash volume or the cash payment is reduced by almost 30% by 2022. And here is a pilot or just a pointer that the mobile payments or the online payments is getting bigger and bigger by the time. And the evolution of the super apps and the payment apps overall, the globe is making its effect also for the customers and for the technology. For the right part, we can see that year by year, we have almost 6% annual growth in a steady state, year over year for the fintech companies, for the hyperscalers, for the normal entities, for the telco operators. It's the evolution of the fintech technology and the online payment. This is the first part from Huawei perspective and seeing how the market is going on and the dynamics for this industry. Secondly, let's see how Huawei would serve the fintech sector or the vertical for the online financial payments. We can see, firstly, Huawei has its building unit, which is the infrastructure as a service, which is related for the number of availability zone and content delivery network. This is the first part, the foundation point. Second point, which is the technology as a service, which is related about the application development and modern architecture of the application. Either it's related for the microservices, for the security native services, for the networking services over the cloud. This is beyond the big data analytics and the AI that can integrate it with the application itself to provide more insights and more services and more capabilities to any fintech company. And finally, which is the expertise as a service that is mentioned previously, which is the partner and the software partners that are engaged with Huawei in its ecosystem that can provide a solution end-to-end from the application and the development layer till the hosting layer. The full end-to-end solution is totally powered by Huawei. Okay, just to share the success and solve the problems. So any company now, if it's a fintech or any other telco operators that needs to launch its super app, it has either two ways. It has its software house that will deploy the application over Huawei Cloud, or just requesting from Huawei to provide the partner that can build or provide the application or the solution over Huawei Cloud. So either this or either that, Huawei can provide a value for the customer and the financial sector. Secondly, it's related about how Huawei is putting a view or a blueprint for the fintech architecture over Huawei Cloud. Starting from the access layer to just serve the access of the data and the access of the application in a secure way using the cloud firewall or the WAF or the endpoint security related to the application itself. Passing by the service layer, which contain the application runtime like a VM, like a container or whatever, the compute unit that will grant the service to the end users, which is the service layer. Going for the risk control platform to have higher performance application, be in a way with the regulation needed, have a business continuity, which is related to the backup, related to the security, having a DR, having a highly available application. Fourthly, related to the big data platforms that would serve the ecosystem or the solution over Huawei Cloud and just leverage the data that is collected and used over this fintech application or the sector which is served by the entity or the fintech company. And finally, the operation and maintenance or operation and management for the whole solution and the whole environment over Huawei Cloud. Those are the main 5 pillars that Huawei is putting as a priority for its fintech solution over Huawei Cloud. Away from this, the connectivity, either it's like a leased line connectivity or a VPN connectivity with any needed regulation or banking entity or just something related to the government, like regulatory authorities, third-party credit data score, like iScore, like connectivity with the banks. We have different means of connectivity with Huawei Cloud. Firstly, let's go with the cloud-native architecture. Now we are talking about cloud-native architecture version number 2, which is powerful for the distributed architecture. Previously, the architecture is done on just one data center or one availability zone, but by the emerging of the cloud-native technologies and the cloud computing, adopting the multi-cloud working model or even the hybrid cloud working model, we have a different architecture. So we can tailor our solution over Huawei Cloud, either through a bare metal container, for example, a hybrid cloud working model, something on my premise in my data center and something over the public cloud, the high performance computing for a specific need through my application, and using the edge compute in some countries just to get the leverage of high performance and low latency services in the regions that is not acquired by the availability zones of Huawei. For this new cloud architecture or the cloud native, we have less cost or operation cost, higher performance, higher scalability, best serve our customer, and providing a higher service level to our customers. This is through the cloud native architecture and the recommendation from Huawei Cloud. Secondly, it's related to the database, which is the core of any financial sector or any fintech company which is providing a financial service to its customer. Either we are migrating from source Oracle database or other commercial database or just in-house open source database. Over Huawei Cloud, we have all the options. Even it's structured data or unstructured data, there is a different flavors. So for example, for the RDS, Relational Database Service, we have the RDS instance that is supporting PostgreSQL. We have the one which is supporting the MySQL. For the enterprise class application or the mission critical application like the banking sector and the telco sector, we have the developed database solution from Huawei, which is the Gauss DB, that have high specs like expanding to 1,000 nodes in just a couple of minutes and serving more than 15 million transactions per minute per core. So this is the cutting edge technologies for Huawei Cloud. Either we have structured data source or unstructured data for deployment over Huawei Cloud. Thirdly, we have the big data solution. Over Huawei Cloud, we have the Data Arts, which is the platform for the big data analytics over Huawei Cloud, starting from the data ingestion from different sources, passing by data migration, data architecture, data quality, until we reach the end value of the data that we need for the business decisions, for the marketing campaigns, or for whatever business need that the entity can leverage from this platform. This is done through an agile and efficient way, totally secured by Huawei Cloud Security Services and permission control for the users. And thirdly, how to analyze this data and get the business value of it through like dashboards or some algorithms just to make an easy way for the decision making. Firstly, we have the AI model and the AI platform. And here, over Huawei Cloud, we have the LLM infrastructure starting from the resources, either it's HCS that can be deployed on-premise or through the public cloud, dependent over ASIC GPU cards, which is totally developed by Huawei, passing by through the platform layer, which could be Model Arts, which is totally developed by Huawei Cloud or any other platform layer. Thirdly, the model layer. The DeepSeek is the latest one to be integrated for the full AI ecosystem over Huawei Cloud, aside from the Pango model. The Pango model, which is totally developed and implemented by Huawei Cloud. So either DeepSeek or Pango model, we can use either each one of them. These platforms and these model layers are supporting and serving the application layer. However, it could be related to a specific industry in a vertical way, financial sector, healthcare sector, telecom sector, or just providing application in a horizontal layer, just like some intelligent question and answers, video generation, code generation, and other stuff. It's totally dependent over the customer and the entity that can how to use these specs and capabilities over Huawei Cloud to best serve its need. Finally, how AI makes the financial electronic KYC in an easier way. For sure, using the standard KYC have more document papers to be used, non-standard identity identity verification process that can be in sometimes it takes a long time, and sometimes it takes a less time. But with the electronic KYC, we have totally different customer experience. Starting from the card OCR, liveness detection, face verification, document OCR, which is optional. All of this stuff can be deployed over Huawei Cloud using Huawei Cloud technology solution, okay, and best serve the customer. This would make a higher efficiency by 50% in the use case and make a cost reduction by almost 30%. And the advantage of using this electronic KYC over Huawei Cloud, we have 3 advantages. Firstly, supporting multi-model, English, Arabic, and the other Chinese language model. Agile development for any updates or any content to be created of this application. It could be done in an easy way. It's not that complicated. Thirdly, which is the most important part, is the high precision. We can reach almost 99% high precision or character precision for this electronic KYC. All of this one would add an extra edge and make an add-on for the technology itself and the industry. This one is related for the security and the security architecture dependent on different nodes and different level over the environment. I don't want to get more deep details on this part. We covered it previously. Fifthly, the backup and the DR for the business continuity. We are just here speaking about having a high availability solution with a DR and backup and archive. All of these 3 is covering the business need and just guaranteeing that the business is always running in a secure way with no data loss or no timeout. Fifthly, it's the intelligent office. Dependent over the working space, we have higher security, higher scalability for the environment, making the remote work available for all the employees and best serving out-of-box idea to the consumers themselves for the loan collection or other stuff that can be made in an easy way using the workspace over Huawei Cloud. This solution can be deployed on-premise or over the public cloud of Huawei Cloud. The success stories, I will try to go in a more quicker way. OPay in Nigeria have totally migrated their workload from some cloud providers to Huawei Cloud. This is for multiple reasons. The first reason is related to the latency for the network in Nigeria, and due to the presence of some points from Huawei Cloud infrastructure over there, the latency is decreased by 50% almost. We have went from latency, which is 130 milliseconds to 80 milliseconds. This is the first part. Secondly, there is no unified management platform for the big data and the risk control. So capitalizing over the data art solution or the big data platform over Huawei Cloud, we make a huge performance peak for the application dependent over Huawei technology. Thirdly, related to the scalability using the container or the CCE. We have almost processing 2 petabytes of data and serving more than 27 million transactions per day in Nigeria, which reached nowadays to 40 million transaction action over Huawei Cloud. Fourthly, this one is related to Ethiopia. Ethiopia made its super app, which is Teleber, which is covering different entities, the governmental taxes, payment for the commercial side, and the other stuff depended also over Huawei Cloud technologies and solution. And here is a brief or a nutshell about the fintech customers that already hosted their environment over Huawei Cloud. Okay, thank you. And let's have a side talk if anyone have a question. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael, for this very insightful talk. A very strong start to the day. Egypt's first local hyperscaler is not just here to compete, it's here to shape the infrastructure of the entire region. Thank you so much for those. Thank you so much for those market and technology insights and for sharing how Huawei are building MENA's infrastructure here in Egypt.
Okay,
kindly accept this certification of appreciation that you came in here, shared your very insightful discussions, and hopefully connecting with the audience later.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.